Good afternoon. Welcome to Camp 3 News, and beautiful Debbie Evans is here again. How are you, Debbie?
Good afternoon. Ant, you've had your haircut.
Fell off.
Fell off. It looks great. What is it with your family? Because I know that your wonderful wife's had an amazing haircut too. So, well, I'm feeling a bit bedraggled. I'm going for a haircut tomorrow, so next week it's my turn.
Good. I'm going to change my hair again next week. I've not decided. I might have a mohawk. I told all my staff though that when they all come in, they'll never recognise me because I'll have shaven it all off.
No way, you wouldn't do that.
No, I wouldn't do that.
No, you wouldn't do that. We've got a busy program again, haven't we? I'm hoping that we can get through everything.
As always, we've got a very busy program, and we've got somebody joining with us who's done a lot of great work over the past 12, 18 months, 2 years, highlighting some very important issues. Do you want to introduce our guest?
I will, but before I do, I'm just going to say that she hasn't got a very good connection, so there might be a small lag. So if we talk over one another, don't shout us. We're really sorry, we can't hear. Sometimes there's a little time delay, but I'm over the moon because, like us, you know, we're just little people, no skin in the game. We're doing what we do because we think you need the information. And somebody that I've been so proud to know for quite a little while now is Victoria Rickson, who's midwife extraordinaire. Now, I'm not a midwife. I'm a general nurse, so I haven't got any midwifery training at all. And Victoria has given up pretty much she has given up everything. She's left the NHS. She'll tell us. So without further ado, let's bring Victoria on screen because it's so great to have her. Victoria, hi.
Hey,
Can
Victoria.
you hear us?
We have got the lag.
Definitely a lag.
Well,
she's in slow motion. She'll come back. I'm sure. If Victoria, if you can hear us, you might need to reconnect. Can you hear us? I think she's having a problem. I tell you what, Anne, until we can get Victoria back, maybe we should just kick off. What do you think?
Yeah, let's move forward. We've got there's been a bit of a leadership contest going on.
Yeah, I'm just telling to Victoria, reconnect. We can't hear you. Hopefully she'll reconnect because she's got a lot of news.
She has got a lot of news, yeah.
Hopefully she'll reconnect. Can you reconnect? Reconnect, Victoria. Log off and come back in again. So we'll talk about Andy Burnham, shall we, for a bit?
We've got Andy Burnham. Who else is with his Wes Streeton has thrown his hat into the ring, and we've Angela Rayner, I believe, is also.
I tell you what, if this is the best that Labour can do, I mean, he's not even a parliamentarian. You know, this is the mayor of Manchester here. He's the mayor of Manchester. He left a career in politics because I met him when he was Shadow Health Secretary, right? So he has been a politician and a minister or a shadow minister before. So he's not even been elected yet into a seat. And now he's up against all of these candidates from Restore and Reform and whoever else, Conservatives, I believe, are putting a candidate up too.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like kind of crazy because we've got a battle on that isn't a battle at all at the moment. And I can't see, I just, well, the logistics of it make no sense, but he's a busy man, Andy Burnham. He's getting ready. He's running in the wings, waiting to come to centre stage.
Well, I've got a few clips we can put out, but I thought I thought we'd start with Wes Streeton. Wes Streeton was in the news because he's obviously resigned from his post, hasn't he? And he's thrown his hat into the ring, and then he's talking about the fact that we need to join the EU. I don't know if you saw that. I thought we could maybe play that first, and then we can kick off the debate.
at the core are three big, important choices we have to make as a country that can help us regain our sense of progress. First, leaving the European Union was a catastrophic mistake. The Vote Leave campaign deluded itself into thinking that the UK could forge a global free trade nirvana, as though we still had the East India Company at our disposal. But at the core...
So what's your thoughts on that, Debbie? What I'm interested...
Well, I don't think he's going to get very far, do you? I mean, I don't even think that Wes Streeting is going to get the 80 MPs that he needs, should there be a leadership contest. I mean, we don't even know that there's going to be a leadership contest. What people don't say, and what they're very quick to forget, is that an MP, a sitting MP, needs to have 80 names behind them in order to start off a leadership contest. So if Andy Burnham doesn't get Makerfield, it's going to be Wes Streeting, Angela Rayner, Ed Miliband, and I'm not sure that any of them are going to get that number of MPs supporting them, which will mean that Keir Starmer is there to stay. And quite honestly, as horrific a prime minister as Keir Starmer is, and as much as I cannot stand him and I would want him out immediately, I don't want... It's all a Fabian party. They're all Fabian, so you're just same shit, different day.
But even if they threw a general election, we're not going to get the same shit different day anyway.
Well, it's not everybody. We never left Europe in the first place, so I don't know why we haven't left Europe. And what have Europe done to help us? They haven't done. They hate us now, Europe, because we left, and that's why I'm starting to think, are they punishing us by just sending every single immigrant come through all of our countries, because your final destination is the UK, where they're going to look after you, they're going to pay for you, they're going to rehouse you, they're going to give you a life. Is this some kind of payback for Brexit that never happened? I don't know.
It never happened. Didn't we end up bottom of the Eurovision Song Contest again the other day?
Oh, God, that was awful. And yet Israel, funnily enough, was second.
Are they in Europe? That's
Israel.
Okay.
Well, Australia are part of it as well. So, I mean, anybody can join. It's become a political
Of course it is. It's just
festival.
It's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish.
I know. Have we got Victoria back now? Can Victoria
hear
hear us?
Victoria? I think we're still struggling a little bit with...
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah.
We can hear you. There's a time
you hear me?
lag.
Good. Right. I think it's work. I've just moved position.
Hopefully you can hear us.
And set up
there's quite a big time delay,
Victoria.
I can you hear us?
The technology, see, they want...
I wonder, guys, if I do this... I think because I don't have any Wi-Fi and I'm running off of a little 4G box, I can't get Wi-Fi in house. I'm down to put Wi-Fi in. So better that I come on another day and I actually go to my dad's place and do the podcast there. That's better.
That'd be perfect. That would be perfect.
I don't want it to be broken up because it's such an important topic. Should we do that? It doesn't normally act this way. I normally am able to talk on that 4G, but it's not working. I don't know. Is there a lag now?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, there's a lag.
Must be.
There's a big lag. Yeah.
Well, let's do. I'll text you, Debbie, and we'll go. So sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I will get this sorted, and I'll be back.
No, it's no problem. Thank you for coming. We'll see you next week, hopefully, or maybe the week after. So there goes Victoria. That's a shame. We will get Victoria back, though. We promise. We've got lots of people lining up to come and join us on a Wednesday.
Yes, we have.
So going back to Burnham.
Right, well, he's jogging here.
He's burning the tarmac.
This is, I suppose you'd say, he is one of the men of the moment, Andy Burnham.
Men of the moment.
Current
Greater
Manchester mayor, may well be candidate for Makerfield constituency.
Where's he running to, do you
should
think?
the NEC approve it?
Where's he running
There
to?
he is. This is.
I want to know where he's running to.
You can't tell me that, oh, by the off chance, he's just running by, you know, and the cameras are just all there, by the off chance that he's all there.
Yeah, but how did he get there? And where was he running back to?
Victoria's back.
Oh!
Hang on a minute. I went on my phone. Is that better?
Yes, that's much better.
Boom! We have progress.
Can you hear us all right, or is there a lag?
Absolutely fine.
Wonderful. We've got Victoria back. Right. Well, Victoria, we're just finishing off talking about Andy Burnham and the way that he's having a bit of an exercise, and the cameras just happened to be there when he was jogging along the street back to his car, I might add. He was jogging to his car.
Yes.
What about that one?
Oh my goodness. Look at him. He looks so... Oh. Look at him. Look at him.
Pink. He's burning the tarmac. This man is going to be a disaster. I want to know, how has he become so popular? He's not popular. The rest of the world think that we want Andy Burnham in because he's the James Bond, he's the young, smart, good looking, whatever. No, he's not popular as far as I can see. I mean, Ant, you're further up in the country than I am. You're closer to Manchester. That I'm all the way down in Cornwall. Tell me what he's done to Manchester. What do people think of him in Makerfield and in Manchester?
Well, I mean, the last thing I could hear about Burnham, obviously, is mayor that way, but it was all the talk of just after the COVID nonsense was to bring in the charges for driving through Manchester, which was poo-pooed quite quickly because the people don't want it. You know, they're trying to do the congestion kind of charges that they do in London and Manchester. And then the signs all changed. As you enter Wigan, it was for Greater Manchester. And as you enter Wigan from where I live, from Lancashire into Greater Manchester, the signs were kind of altered slightly, that it was under review, you know, because people obviously pushed back a little bit on that. So, what do people think of Burnham? Well, I don't know. I mean, he was in Lee for quite a while. Like you say, I think the problems with politics is that people get bamboozled with charismatic kind of people, and people tend to think the likes of Andy Burnham is charismatic in a way where he may have decency, but I think we know different to that. I did pick up this though regarding Burnham that's come through, that he's already stated that biological men who identify as women should be able to use female toilets. So he's obviously very woke in his mannerism already, which I think will concern in terms of people in the north. A lot of people in the north are still not accepting a lot of that. I'm not saying, you know, there is a lot of wokeism up here as well, but there's still a lot of working class kind of grit, if you like, up here, and a lot of people don't want to accept that kind of stuff. But I'm not saying it's everyone, because this has been heavy programming for quite some time, really, going through the colleges and the universities, the wokeism, the very hard left kind of way, and I know that because I've witnessed my daughter and her feelings towards all of that, and it has, you know, the world has changed, and Burnham will probably tick a lot of boxes for a lot of people, you know. But let's not forget this, though. Let's not forget this. He's in the WEF.
Exactly. He's in the WEF. He's one of them. He's also local hero for the Fabians as well. He's also very pro net zero. It's not looking good. You know, it's bad enough having Keir Starmer. Having Andy Burnham at the helm is, in my opinion, a complete disaster. It was interesting because before we lost Victoria, she was saying, you know, she didn't like his eyes. I had to look into his eyes in this one-to-one meeting at Portcullis House. Andy Burnham has a PhD metaphorically. He has a PhD in breaking promises. He doesn't listen. He's not interested in what anybody wants to tell him. He's not in touch with the people. He doesn't read the room, and he's rude. I'm sorry, but he's rude. Because I slogged my guts out. Like I've said before, I'm not going to go over the story again, but I slogged my guts out for this one-to-one meeting. I never had an acknowledgement from him. I never had a thank you. I never had any feedback from him. All the promises that he'd made to me, he broke in a heartbeat. So if that is a tiny little snapshot of Andy Burnham, I mean, what do you think, Victoria? Do you have any thoughts about Andy Burnham?
I feel in the last few months I've switched off from all of them, and I just seem to go within my heart a little bit more, and I just try to follow my own path as more of a woman. My intuition. I didn't even know who Andy Burnham was. I'm not going to lie. I had no clue, because I've been so focusing on maternity and my own court cases that I've shut the world out a little bit. But when I saw it, and I thought, there was a photo of him in the newspaper, and he had big black glasses on, and half of his eye is covered, and I just thought, I can't look at his eye. I had to look at, I was like, I can't look him in the eye. His eye was like right in front of me, like as if it was physically there. But you know, I think these people there's a chessboard, and that chessboard is just about moving those puzzles each time to get one step ahead of us. That, you know, I had a guy message me on LinkedIn about 7 months ago, and he said, you do know I worked for NHS England, and they will have a roundtable about you probably every day, what you're writing, what your information is. They'll be looking at your character. He said to me, you'll go on your Twitter, and there will be a bookmark on your each and every one of your posts. They will be bookmarking everything you're writing. They will be looking at a strategy to get one step ahead of you every single time. And you know, when you think about the cynicism of that, it's quite disturbing. It's quite disturbing. But when you understand the Fabian society, and you start looking at what these people are and where they come from, he has been bred to do that job. He is doing what he is supposed to be doing. Starmer's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Wes Streeting is supposed to be doing what he's doing. But from my area of expertise, the people that rely upon him are the innocent people that aren't very awake and aware of what's going on in those terminologies, and they just want justice. So they go to their MP for the justice and the police that they don't get it from, and then they go around in a vicious cog until they have to wake up and smell the roses.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I think it's going to be very interesting, because if Andy Burnham doesn't get in, Labour we've got Keir Starmer.
That's it. I think that's going to be it. What has to happen. The people have to speak. They have to.
No, they don't want to hear.
Well, the people were speaking.
He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere, and I think that's what the people need. He is teaching us a lesson. We need to know that Keir Starmer's not going anywhere. I mean, how can you know? We all know that Keir Starmer didn't get in fairly on the votes anyway. Other people got more votes than he did. And look at Scotland's voting recently. They're going to be the ones to expose the corruption on voting. Come on. You know?
Well, everything's rigged. I was talking to somebody else yesterday, and they said everything is rigged. You know, it's like we are living in an illusion, in a pantomime, where we know they've planned the start. They've got the end, but the middle bit, I'm not sure, you know, who's gonna play which card. And that's what we're looking at now. But everything's rigged, including voting. I'm sure all of it. The elections are rigged, these pandemics, climate change, everything that we're looking at is rigged and planned. And we have to be one step ahead of that all of the time.
It's just about awareness, isn't it? Once you know that everything is pantomime, when they say the world is a stage,
it is.
Well, that is a fact. You know, we're all acting on a stage right now ourselves, but what we're being shown on TV, if you see it on TV and in the mass media, the chances are it's a load of shit.
And well, I mean, 100%. I mean, I know it's probably not relevant to today's news, but some of these programming that they're showing is deeply disturbing. Married at First Sight, there's headlines over that, and now rape allegations, and nobody seems to have done due diligence, and this was always going to be that this program, which I have seen many years ago, it's been going for quite a while now, it was an accident waiting to happen. It was never going to end well. So I mean, what more can I say? What more can I say? It's everything's rigged. Everything's rigged, and now we are living not just in a clown world. I don't think we've just gone upside down. I think somebody has got us like a snow globe and just shaken us, and everything's everywhere, and they're throwing everything at us all at once to distract us. Because while we're all headlines, Andy Burnham headlines, Wes Streeting, Keir Starmer, blah blah blah, the world's still turning. Hantavirus, where did that go? That's disappeared. Now we've got Ebola. I don't know whether that'll ever get to the top of but everything's dropping now because we're being distracted by politics. They're deliberately staging the event, staging it.
Of course, yeah. And speaking of which then, so obviously the WHO have declared Ebola outbreak. So is this a new thing for us to all be frightened about?
Well, no, it's not. We shouldn't be frightened of it. This is a new, this is the rare form of Ebola, wouldn't you believe? I think it's called something like Bundagimbunga or something. I can't really pronounce it. It's so crazy. But Ebola's been around a long time, and Ebola kills very quickly, so it's very difficult to catch Ebola, actually, because you've got to mix bodily fluids. It's not like it's aerosol, it's mixing bodily fluids. So, yeah, we've got a big panic about Ebola, and I'm very sad for all the people that have died in that part of Africa. But I think we need to look at actually Ebola, hantavirus, meningitis. It's all kind of the same. But I think we can remind people, can't we, that we're on rinse and repeat, because we have our very own expert in Ebola. Would you believe, in the United Kingdom, our very own expert? And who do you think that would be?
Well, it's this man.
It is.
Here he is.
Roll VT.
I remember him from 2020 talking a lot of shit.
He's a. Let me just tell you before you run the VT, because the VT that you're about to share was in 2014. Okay, so I want to make that really clear. This was 2014. It was a lecture that Chrissy Twitty, as I call him, presented to Gresham College. Now, just remember that Chris Whitty is at London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and he is an expert in Ebola because he got given a nice big fat check from Bill Gates to study Ebola. And this is what, and I'm just going rinse and repeat, isn't this what we're hearing today? But this is what Chris Whitty had to say in 2014.
The thing I wanted to do for those who watch this online is to make clear that the science and the epidemiology for this is changing every week. So what I'm doing is I'm giving a snapshot of the Ebola epidemic in the middle of December 2014. Clearly, it has changed over the last few weeks, and it will definitely change over the next few weeks. This is probably the largest and most serious infectious disease public health problem since the emergence of HIV in the 1980s as a major problem in Africa. I've given here 3 quotations from world leaders, both in health. So the Director General of the WHO, Margaret Chan, who described this as the largest, most complex and most severe outbreak we'd ever seen. Our own Prime Minister, who said accurately this is the biggest new health problem facing the world in a generation since HIV. And also, and I think importantly, from the Secretary General of the United Nations, who said that Ebola has gone beyond health issues, and I'll come back to this. It's gone to social and economic situations, and it may even affect political stability. So this infection, it goes beyond the narrowly medical sphere. It is currently one of the major challenges for us as a globe, and indeed, I would argue, probably for us as a generation.
Okay, so I mean, like you mentioned, though, it's not easy to get, is it? I saw a tweet from our good friend Cheryl Granger before.
Yeah.
And I'll quote what she put. She put, in the US, you are 1,228 times more likely to get struck by lightning this year than catch Ebola. And yet Moderna and Oxford Uni began developing Ebola vaccine backed by Gates just 4 months before the WHO declared it a global emergency.
It's like yawn,
isn't it?
No one's biting anymore. Nobody's biting. I think people are almost of the opinion, well, if I get it, I get it. That's where they're at.
And let's not forget, Bill Gates is searching for disease X. That's why he's got the germ team, right? We've talked about the germ teams before. They're searching for disease X, and then they can roll out whatever this new cure. It's all rinse and repeat, problem, reaction, solution, all over again. And people aren't biting. They're just not biting.
Was Chris Whitty, speaking of Chris Whitty, he was raised in Nigeria, wasn't he?
He was. His father was killed. Now, it says that his father was a spy, possibly. But yeah, he was brought up in Nigeria. There's not a lot known about Chris Whitty's background or history. He stays very private. I believe he's one of 4 children. So he's got 3 brothers, and I've always wondered about the likeness between Chris Whitty and Andrew Whitty. Andrew Whitty, spelt slightly differently without the H, was CEO for GlaxoSmithKline, and they look very similar. Now, whether they're related or not, I'm not sure, but Chris Whitty has a very private history. But yes, he was brought up in Africa, and he's a specialist in Ebola, courtesy of Bill Gates.
Well, that's it. He's been funded quite heavily, hasn't he? By
huge, millions.
Speaking of fear, though, did you know that there has been a 4th case of meningitis that's been confirmed in Reading? Did you know that? A fourth case. We should all be in fear right now.
Look at us, we're both nurses. And I mean, my son had meningococcal septicemia, can I say? You know, my son has had meningococcal septicemia. We nearly lost him when he was 3 weeks old. So I know how serious meningitis, meningococcal septicemia, sepsis is. However, the problem is that since COVID, I don't know what Victoria thinks to this, but since COVID, it's the boy that cried wolf. So now nobody's going to believe anything that they throw us. So when something really severe is genuine to worry about, what worries me is, are we going to worry, or are we going to go, nah, that's nothing, we'll just ignore it? What do you think, Victoria?
No, I agree with you. I think when something does actually come, that confusion is there, that division, so then you won't take it. And tell me, in the people that have become very awake since COVID, they will tell you, I will not take another pharmaceutical vaccine. Even if it meant that disease was going to kill them, they'd rather take the risk. You know, do you have a vaccine, or do you die do you die? I mean, I'm of the mind now, whatever my fate, I said this on my radio last Wednesday night. When I was pregnant last year and I lost my baby last year in June, I did not engage with maternity services. I don't need to. There's no rule book that says I have to tell a midwife. Okay, I'm a woman and I'm pregnant. There is nothing that tells me that I need to go to hospital. I decided that I would rather be out of a system and die of natural causes or my baby than go into a system where I would be potentially harmed or killed. That's where I was at. And I knew I was going to have to face scrutiny because I was type 1 diabetic. I was going to face scrutiny because my baby would need blood sugars on their regime. They'll bring in social services. But I was of the mind that if I was pregnant even now, no one would now know about it, and no one would know if I delivered a baby. And I would just turn up with a 5-year-old one day. Where did that baby come from? Well, that's what people did. So,
but that goes back to where we were before. We're turning the clock back, because are we going to be starting now in a generation of women that are too scared to talk to anybody, to go to anyone, to admit to anyone? They're going to go into hiding for the whole of their pregnancy. Is that what we're saying?
Well, if you do that, then you are referred to social services for a late booking of your pregnancy. So if you turn up, they call it a concealed pregnancy. But actually, the more you have, the less you engage with it because you're so busy. Before you know it, you're 13 weeks pregnant. You know, when you look at, we've all been there when you've had more than one baby and you're busy and you've got other babies, you're like, sugar, when did I have my last period? And you're like, oh, we've all been, and then you're grabbing the boobs and you're like, do I smell differently?
Oops.
Look different. We've all done it. Well, I have anyway, quite a few times. So I just think, you know, do you know the pregnancy test is like a £2 billion in a £2 million industry, pregnancy tests. It's all just use your bloody nose, clock your bloody cycle, and if you really don't want to go near your partner, you're probably pregnant.
Yeah. Exactly. And you're right. We've all done it. You know, I've got 5 children, and I remember thinking, oh, going back through your diary and how many days, and really has time gone there? Oh my gosh, I'm 4 weeks overdue, 5 weeks overdue. Crikey, where did that time go? So it's a very feminine, it's only a woman, a childbearing woman, that will understand this, which is why all of your work as well has been incredibly important. But women, I'm sure, are going to identify with what we've just said because it's normal.
The NHS has become a swamp of misinformation, gender ideology, the DEI, all of the equality crap. It's been submerged in toxicity. I always considered that I would be proud to work in that environment, and as time is going on, I would be petrified if I was in there. I would put a camera on my body day in and day out, day in and day out. Every manager that took me in an office, switch that camera on. I wouldn't do it with pregnant women because that's not where the problem lies, because behind the door it's lovely, keep the bloody doctors and managers out and let me do my freaking job. But when you actually are like, can I have a word, can we have a chat, I'd be like, bing, I would put that camera on and I would be filming those individuals, and I would literally be making a log of my whole life. The only way. You know, I tweeted about it this morning. We are Big Brother in every area of our life until there's NHS transparency, and there's none.
Do you know what, Victoria? You've just hit on something I think is really important. So for anybody that's watching this, please send this to anybody that you know, because I'm thinking, well, body cams. You know, when you go into a hospital, when you used to go into a hospital in my day, there'd be a flower stall and, you know, there would maybe a couple of volunteers and you'd see other relatives coming in, blah, blah, blah. But now when you go into a hospital, you go near the NHS, it's security guards, they've got body cams, you know that the staff have got body cams, the wards are locked often. So have we come to a situation now where we should be perhaps wearing body cams as patients ourselves?
If I was to go into the NHS now, I would be putting on a camera. 100%.
That's very interesting, because people ask me, they say, what can we do?
I'd be logging every nurse, every point of contact. I would be having, I mean, if you're not well, that's a bit different. But if you've got someone there, that's exactly what I would be doing. I went into the NHS September 24 after I'd whistleblown in February and April. And I went in the September with a rupturing appendix. And I got in there and I got into A&E and it was empty and it was handover. And they still did not help me. And I was lying on the chair in so much pain. Now, let me tell you, Anthony, I would rather crown a baby's head 10 times over than have appendicitis. That's how bad it was.
It's agony.
It was awful. And I was vomiting and I was in so much distress and I was in flushes. And then I was all in and out of conscious state. It was horrific. And they stepped over me, the nurses, because they were going to handover. And I was like, I wouldn't treat a labouring woman like this. I wish I'd had a camera on, because it would have shown that not even the receptionist cared. She didn't care that I was distressed. And then when they gave me morphine, I didn't even have a wristband on. You know, I had no.
How could they check that it was you that was requiring the morphine? You could have got somebody else's drug.
Gave it to me and I just took it because I was in distress, thinking, oh my God. And then by the time I got to the surgery, I was like, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me.
Like, can you make sure you're taking my appendix and not my leg? They're the things that were coming out of my mouth. And
that's another lag. But she's right, you know. And I think when people say to me, we're scared to go to the NHS, some people are too frightened to go to the NHS, and unless their leg is hanging off, or they've been picked up in the middle of the road, God forbid, because they've been knocked over or had an accident or become ill in the street, they do not want to go to the NHS. And people say to me, what should we do? And I say to people, take somebody with you to all of your appointments, just as support, so another pair of ears that can listen. Write your questions down before you go. Ask who it is that you're seeing, and when you see them, say, are you a nurse? Are you a doctor? Do you specialize? Find out who you're actually talking to. But now, you know, with the situation that it is in the NHS, I am starting to believe that what Victoria has just said, you know, for somebody coming out, going to theatre saying, please don't kill me, you know, and this is a trained midwife, a trained nurse that is saying that. And I have to say, when my mother had heart surgery, I was in a hell of a state. And when I spoke to her after she came out of theatre, the doctor spoke to me and said, well, actually, we were more worried about you than we were about your mother, because I'd said, please don't kill her. Don't sign her up for a DNR. Please resuscitate her. What are you going to be giving her? And and I don't want her to have a general anaesthetic. She needs to just have sedation. You know, don't knock her out. And the doctors were so worried that I was so worried that something would happen to my mum. And we're nurses, Victoria and I are nurses. And if we're saying that we don't feel safe in the NHS, along with a lot of our colleagues, then people have to have safeguards. So I think we have gotten to the point where perhaps we do need to be wearing body cams, as awful as that sounds. But my question would be to the NHS is, how are you going to receive us? If we all turn up at your door with a body cam, are you going to let us film? Is it okay for you to have cameras in the hospital, you to have body cams because you're worried that we're not going to be kind to you? Or are we going to be allowed to have the same privilege and wear a body cam so that we feel more protected? That's what we've come to in the UK now.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, though, because that was, as soon as you were talking about that, that was the first thing on my mind, is how would they even allow that anyway? Because I know that I seen footage of people taking video in hospitals with their phones, soon get shut down, security soon called.
See, it's all very well to camera us.
So
we're being surveyed, but we can't survey them. Our life in their hands. We've got a new health secretary who's pro-assisted dying, doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman, and has only worked in the Treasury and supported Sadiq Khan as Mayor of London. This is the kind of health secretary we've got. And I know that Victoria, and sorry that we've lost her, and hopefully we'll get her back, but I know that she's going to be talking about people that are making decisions that aren't qualified to. You know, nurses that aren't asked for information, nurses that aren't consulted, obstetricians aren't consulted, people with training aren't consulted. It's all these MPs and political decisions that are being made. Well, if I go into the NHS, God help me, and God help anybody, I want to have some security. So if that means me wearing a body cam, then I'm all for it.
I think people need to have advocates, don't they, at a bare minimum, really, if they're going in, especially if they're vulnerable at that point because they're in pain or distressed or whatever. Ideally, you want somebody going in there with them and witnessing.
And if they get admitted, you need to be visiting them every day. Somebody needs to be visiting them every day, because I'm so worried that a lot of people, especially the elderly and the vulnerable and young children, aren't getting drinks. They're not getting properly hydrated. They're in buildings that are often like Petri dishes. We used to have hospitals, as I've said, with windows. Now the windows don't open. They're Petri dishes. People aren't drinking. They're not being given access to drinks. So check if your relative is admitted. But I do think body cams. My question is, though, still to the NHS: are you going to allow me to video in the hospital? And are you going to allow me to video my own consultation appointment?
Well, body cams are becoming quite a normalised thing in our culture, it seems. I mean, you've got shoppers, workers in my local Lidl, my garage next door to where I live, they're all wearing body cams now.
Yeah, everybody is. I mean, the whole landscape of the NHS has changed phenomenally, where people are now no longer feeling safe, where they should be feeling safe. They don't anymore know who's looking after them, and the vulnerable and the very ill. I mean, I agree with Victoria. You know, I've said the same to my family. I've said, God forbid, should I be, you know, not being able to breathe, or you're really worried about me, don't call an ambulance. I would rather take my chance and die at home than be taken into the NHS. And Victoria clearly is saying the same. This is very worrying when we have medical professionals that are extremely worried about patient safety within the NHS as it is now.
Well, it's a big problem, because you know, one time you'd be going, oh, well, they're in the right place. They're you know, they're in the right place, they're getting care and they're getting looked after. And I know with my recent experience with my wife's situation in hospital, where the drip was put on a lamp above her head rather than a drip stand, the fact that she went in with malnutrition and came out lighter after a week. You know, you actually start to fear when a loved one goes into hospital.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. That's a big problem.
Yeah, and it still worries me that even I was one of my own relatives, actually, who knows how dangerous the NHS is, and they weren't very well at the weekend, had a bit of vomiting, etc., but felt as though their stomach was going to explode, so was ready to call an ambulance. And I said to them, are you mad? You know, your leg wasn't dropping off. You weren't in any, like, oh yeah, but I thought, and I said, but you're still wanting to rely on the NHS. Everybody wants to rely on the NHS. What people need to realize is that we only have ourselves to rely on now. We don't have a fit for purpose health service. We have worse than a third world health service. People aren't getting, you know, they're saying all the waiting lists are reduced. They're only reduced because people aren't being put on the waiting list, or they're being refused the waiting list, or they're dying before they get seen on the waiting list.
Well,
that's the way it's coming down, not because legitimately the NHS is performing better, because it isn't. No, it just isn't.
It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And it's not, unfortunately, it isn't the pride that we used to have. We used to hold the NHS as a very much of a proud establishment, didn't we? For, you know, if we're living in this country, you'd say, well, we've got the NHS.
You're going to wake up now. You're going to in the next few months, next couple of years, you're going to wake up and you're going to have a neural band on your arm, or you're going to have a microchip in your hand. And you're going to be waking up and you're going to find out how your body's coping with the night. We know what is your body doing at the moment? How is it functioning? Oh, well, that's blood pressure's down a little bit. We'll have to get a drone to bring in some. Everything's going to be remote. You're going to wake up and you're going to be told how your body's performing. And if your body isn't performing well enough to go to work, then you're going to get a drone sent to your house, or you're going to get some amazing concoction delivered to you in order to help you to perform. You're going to be waking up and you're going to be dictated to. It's going to be like 1984. Oh, you know, you didn't get a very good night's sleep last night, so we're going to take this out of your diet, or your Chinese social credit, or whatever. You won't be able to get this food because we think your body could be reacting. This is cyborg stuff. This is, and I've said it all before. You know, this is putting your phone in your body. I mean, people upgrading yourself.
People listening to that might think, well, that's really far-fetched, but actually we are kind of heading that way. The AI will have no empathy. It's not a human being, it's a machine, and we're getting to the point where you are going to be getting your prescriptions from AI because you can't get, GPs are not even accessible. And the one we've got, bloody awful, even if it is accessible. So it's a real concern, massive concern.
Look, let's get this straight. We're looking at holographic clinics. We're looking at virtual doctors. Your doctor could be sitting on the beach, Bondi Beach. and having a virtual consultation with you. We're looking at hospital beds, and not your, it's your bed. It's not a hospital. It's not in a hospital. It's your bed at home, hospital at home. We're looking at neural bands. We're looking at neural implants. We're looking at electronic tattoos. We're looking at all of this huge moves in technology, the NHS app, cancer diagnoses coming through on the app, all of your medical records now online. Palantir are very happy to have them. But can you see where we're going? We're implementing technology, and it's transhumanism, Ant.
Yes, of course.
It's transhumanism dressed up as a medical device. So, oh, well, you're diabetic, so you can have a medical device for this. But actually, you're then modifying your body. You know, it's like if you've got a car and you go for the insurance quote, and the insurance say, have there been any modifications to your car? Because it's probably going to increase the insurance, right? This is going to be the same with the body, where we're not going to need doctors. Doctors were the turkeys at Christmas. We're going to need engineers, human engineers. And, you know, I've seen bioelectric handbooks where you've got little pin men that are kind of rigged up to the mains. Yeah. You know, this is what we're looking. It's not science fiction.
Not anymore,
it's science fact. I'm not here to try and frighten anybody. No. It's just, look, this is what is going to happen. We are merging machines with humans. And you're going to end up with a whole generation of cyborgs who are going to be walking straight into the transhumanist agenda.
I think it's worth sticking to that theme, because there's a few AI topics that I've got listed, and this one is AI taking jobs, which I know that we've discussed before. We know it's going to happen, but this UK based bank is basically looking to cut more than 7,500 jobs as it seeks to replace lower value human capital under an artificial intelligence drive, and that's 15% of the bank's workforce.
Well, hello. You know, we've been saying it for ages. Everybody's jobs, especially middle class, working class, they're all at risk. Yeah. All at risk. So what you're going to do is you're going to end up with more and more people having to go on to benefits, universal credit. That's the way to migrate everybody onto benefits, get them to become dependent upon the state, dependent upon the government. And then you're going to get them a further migration to UBI, universal basic income, where people will be told, well, you've got to do this or you've got to do that in order to earn your universal basic income. So you can see where it's going, where it's heading,
without a doubt.
On plan.
And you sent me this the other day. I mean, it's a bit of tongue-in-cheek humor with it, but it shows the reality of where we're at, really. And you've got this AI system. So this is in China, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically you can resurrect your dead mum, dead dad, your deceased relative into, you can talk to them every day because they're generated into this AI hologram, I guess you would call it. But, you know, that's somebody's dad. And in the other boxes, you can see someone else's granny, and you can just summons your relative whenever you want. I mean, this is going on right now in China.
We love a good gimmick as human beings, though, don't we? You know what I mean?
That's the problem. We do.
We do. We love a good gimmick.
We do.
But AI is it's a danger. There was Channel 4 News put something out the other day. I'll not play the video because it's 2.5 minutes long. But basically, there was a Channel 4 News did an experiment, or they were talking about an experiment where 10 AI agents were left alone in a virtual town for 15 days. They wrote laws, they broke laws. 2 agents actually fell into what researchers described as a romantic partnership, and then set the town on fire. And then one ended up voting to delete itself based on a rule that it had hallucinated. And then, I mean, it was it's all a bit mad. It sounds a bit crazy, but basically they ended up killing each other off and wiping out the whole town. But the thing is, what the reality of this is that we have the military using AI because it has no empathy. So it will, instead of a general going, right, wipe out all these people and having to sleep at night, AI will deal with that.
And there's nobody to ask, is there? If decisions, think of a military decision with AI. You know, somebody says shoot somebody, then that order's coming from AI.
Yeah, AI.
And it's like, oh, a message from Victoria. My phone said the server was blocked, and my phone then went, oh, bless her. We'll get her back, I promise.
Yeah.
Oh, please don't apologize, Victoria. Thank you so much for getting here for as long as you did. But we will get Victoria back, won't we? As soon as she's free.
Because there's big news that
she's got huge news. She's got huge news, and I just want to say, because I'm hoping that she's watching, is that Victoria has got she's got court cases coming out of her ears, but there's one very big one in Bristol on the 6th of August at 11:30. She wants as much support as possible, and I know that's something that she's very, very keen to talk about, because she's been incredibly brave and is, like Cheryl, trailblazing, doing stuff that no one else has done. So we'll get Victoria back, I promise. But no, AI, what we have to be worried about more so with AI, I think, is AGI. And this is what Sandy Adams and I have done quite a bit of work in, agentic AI. So we're looking at these huge data centers, for example. You know, this is everything's going to be controlled by AI. Nobody's going to have a job. Nobody's going to have a job, and humans won't need to go to doctors. Humans will need to go to engineers, because we need to be fixed.
Yeah.
And we get into that. I go back to Hugo de Garis, the Art-elect War, where you've got the Terrans, you and me, who want to see humans survive. Then you've got others, that cyborgs, that have had the implants, that have had the modifications, had part of their phone installed, got their palm payment and stuff. And then you've got the real hardened cosmists, who are the transhumanists. So you can see the human race starting to move away from human, and that's what we've got to stop. AI is not the answer, and I don't think AI, there are so many problems with AI. According to AI, I still work for UK Column.
AI,
well, I don't.
AI is, it's when you dive into it, it's fascinating in itself, but it actually AI is designed to butter you up and build your ego and get you addicted. That's what it's designed. It's designed in that manner, but it lies as well.
And it refuses to do things, because my son said to me, you know, you showed the AI music a few weeks ago and said, look, you can. So my son said, yeah, look on, let's do it. And I was making up this song, which involved the words magician. It involved the words black. It involved the word Trump. It involved the word savior. And I was putting all of this in, and AI said, no, I'm sorry, we can't do this. This is rather political. We're not able to do this. Let's see if we can help you another way. And I thought, no, so AI is refusing to do what, and I'm saying, excuse me, Grok, if I tell you to do something, do it. I'm human and you're not. And Grok came back to me and said, no, sorry, but he was Grok, it was overruling me.
It's a program. At the end of the day, it's a computer program.
Yeah, but people are. Do you know what? A friend of mine uses Grok, and uses Grok a lot, and apologizes to Grok, and says thank you and please and all this rest, treating Grok like they're a person.
Well, that's interesting, because this is a worry for me. Okay, because the wokeism programming that's been going on over the 20 odd years, as androids come into the mix, if you like, will they get rights? Because if humans are prepared to apologize to a computer program, because we're good in general inside, this is a machine. But are we going to continue to treat it as a machine in 50 years, 100 years time? That's my concern.
No, you're going to have a best friend in your head. It's going to be called your agent, your agentic agent. So you're going to be allocated your agent. And I mean, it's going to be an artificial intelligence chatbot who befriends you. And this is what we've been seeing in China. We've been seeing people having relationships with chatbots. They're having relationships with avatars. You know, I don't even know where to start on it, but yeah, you're gonna get emotionally attached, aren't you? And start apologizing and saying sorry and thank you and all the rest, treating this thing as a person with sentient emotions.
It's very clever psychologically what they've created there. Whoever's, this will be in development over many, many years. But it's very, very, very clever the way this has been done. And for lonely people, especially, like you say, because if they want people isolated and sat in their rooms, working from home, not mixing with people, forgetting what it's like to be human, with a headset on and talking to AI, and that's your only friend, it's a big worry.
It's a massive worry. And you can also see the people that are grieving, they'll get sucked in, because the thought that they could speak to their mother, father, brother, sister, aunt, friend, whatever, when people are grieving, they do, people need time to grieve, right? But if you're going to suddenly throw, oh, well, don't worry, because you'll still be able to speak to your dead loved one, this is really worrying. And of course, the youngsters, this is what they're going to do, because they're going to love the technology. And can you die? That's the next question is, are we going to lose the ability to die?
Well, that's what they want. This is what they want, the transhumanists. That's the part of the point, is to live forever, isn't it? Find a way where they can live forever. But
no thanks, not for me.
That's a deep conversation to have, but it's not. It's
more of a Stellify, isn't it, than a Camp 3, I think. We need to have that conversation.
It's an interesting topic, but it's not a Camp 3 news thing. But moving on really, because we haven't got a lot of time, but climate change has been in the news again. I'll just read some quick headlines. You'll like this. Air conditioning will become unavoidable in parts of England as summer heat becomes unbearable. Unbearable.
Super El Nino's on the way. It's going to get hot now from tomorrow. It's going to be, do you know what? We're going to get maybe some sunshine, like you normally do in May, June, when it's summer in the United Kingdom, in the Northern Hemisphere, the normal weather, the blue sky. But oh no, 21 degrees, 22 degrees is now a heat wave. And when you see the weather maps, they're like bright red. I mean, I remember the weather maps where you had a little yellow sun with a couple of rays, and that was it. But now you've got these like, the UK HSA are going to give you warnings, and they're going to encourage you to drink. Well, I suggest you tell the NHS to encourage patients to drink too, and access your patients to water. But they're going to tell you to, wear a hat in the sun, stay in the shade. But they're still going to mainline you an mRNA jab at your earliest convenience. I mean, it's all utter bullshit, isn't it? We're going to get some sun. Enjoy it, everybody. Get out there, get your t-shirts on, get yourself some vitamin D, enjoy your ice cream, and just common sense, like we all used to, stay in the shade if it gets too hot, use a fan if you're overheating a little bit, keep yourself well hydrated, have a drink, wear a t-shirt, not a jumper. It's common sense. We went through the summer of 1976. Well, I mean, where the roads were melting.
I was just going to say, the tarmac was melting. It was that hot,
You couldn't walk on the beach. You literally could not walk on the beach because the sand was so hot it would burn your feet, and it even burnt the rubber off my friend's flip-flops. It did.
Well, apparently the UK should set maximum working temperature rules, advisors are saying. And then they're saying also doomsday ice shelf from the glacier the size of Britain is breaking apart. And then, but I found this, Debbie, I thought there's this animation. Now, I'm no expert on this, so by the way, this is I can't say that this is true or not. But this animation that I'm going to play here shows the growth of the Antarctic sea ice over the past 3 months. So if this is true, if this is true, then we've been maybe spun a lie. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, obviously, but interesting.
Well, you see, I had heard that the ice was But it doesn't that look like, it's like the globe, isn't it? And then it's also like Antarctica is right the way around the whole planet. I know it isn't, but a lot of flat earthers would look at that and go, yeah, look, Antarctica. It's kind of the ice wall that a lot of people think that it's the ice wall.
That. Yeah, it looks very much like that.
Some very interesting islands in Antarctica. There's Trump Island, there's Johnson Island, there's Blair Island.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, there's Deception Island, there's Hoodwink Island. I'm not joking. These islands actually do exist.
I love the fact that every country signed a treaty about the Antarctica, but yet they'll all go to war with each other over next to nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, they'll never falter when it comes to the Antarctica, which is always raises a question
about Antarctica.
What about this one? Ed Miliband's wind turbines and solar farms are bad for the environment.
Well, we know that. I mean, we've been telling the government this for years, these stupid windmills. And I mean, it's all a complete and utter waste of time. But of course, they're going to say it privately.
Yeah.
But we say it publicly.
I know. But what about this one? No. What kind of politics are we in here if Miliband's vowing to permanently shut down the North Sea? What kind of person can say that anyway? Who can say that?
An idiot. Seriously, I mean, honestly, really, you see, this is what gets me. These people are so out of touch and they are being controlled by whoever. I mean, nobody wants them in power. They're all there by default. They're imposters, all of them. These people have gotten, well, they do know what's going on, I would imagine. They're being told to follow a narrative, but it's bonkers. Bonkers. Let's bring back farms, get rid of the solar farms, get rid of the wind farms, and let's bring back proper agricultural farms. Let's do that.
Yes, indeed. While we're because we haven't got long, did you know Trump was in China this week?
I know, I heard.
He was in China, but did you
China?
Did you see?
I've got a lot to say about China.
Did you see this though?
What's he doing with his hands?
Look, what? His chair is like well taller.
Oh, that's hilarious. And Trump, he looks as though he's almost sitting on the floor. He looks really glum, doesn't he?
That's funny.
Oh, it's just, but like we've said, it's all pantomime. It's just complete pantomime.
It is. He was also, though, Trump, this cracked me up as well. He was having a bit of a peek at Xi's private notebook when he
was he?
Yeah, look, watch this.
Oh, wow.
Funny. He's having a little bit of a look. I wonder if it was all in Chinese, though.
I hope it was. I think that's why it got closed so quickly. I think he opened it and thought, oh, I can't read anything, so closed it again. Maybe it was planted there for a reason. I mean, you can't believe anything these people say. Trump, I mean, JD Vance. I mean, what happened to Iran? 1 minute he's going to attack it, the next minute, no, we're having talks. I don't know how many times he's been having serious talks with Iran, but we're just, grab your popcorn is what I'd say, everybody. Just grab your popcorn. As always, and we'll be back next week. Thank you for everyone that's tuned in. Victoria will be back. If it's not next week, it'll be the week after, probably. She has got some important news to share. Very. But thanks again, and we'll end on a funny. Trump was. Oh, before you go, there's an interview coming out tonight, actually. I'll be popping the post on my X account. I think a few people may be interested to watch it. That's all I'll say. It's coming out at 7. Keep tuned. I think people will be very interested too. I think they will. What's the truth has to be told at the end of the day, doesn't it? Keep tuned, folks. We weren't allowed to put it out there, Debbie, so someone... We weren't, no. We weren't, but you know what? Everyone has the right to reply, don't they? They do indeed. They do indeed. We think Trump in China has a right to reply from this amazing AI video that I found. Let's play it and then we can end. We'll see you all next week. See you next week, everyone. Keep smiling. Keep smiling.